colleague who's become a friend, Evan Davis. We got to know each other a little bit better last year at the Immersive Summit. Knew of him and of his work and had interacted with him a bit before that, but have since had the opportunity to present with him at different conferences, but also importantly, he joined our team in, it seems like you've always been a part of our team, so there's no way I'm gonna be able to say the date you joined our team. January, okay, thank you. In January, on a detail as a project manager, and we have just absorbed him with arms wide open. He has been a real asset, a joy to work with, and brings a whole new level of leadership and engagement to this work. So with that, Evan, I will pass it to you.
All right, great. So you can hear me. I'm going to sit down. I'm a recreational therapist by trade, so I do things very non-traditionally. And so what I'm actually going to do, and I did a little bit of this last year, so if you could please get up and move closer, I want people to feel more close to this, and I'm sorry for the people online. But I really want this more of like a conversation about this, and this is just what I do. It makes it a little bit more fun. I'll call you out if you stay in the back, so please come forward. I also really like to make people uncomfortable, especially when I'm uncomfortable. That's exactly it. I'm just trying to make myself feel better. So last year was really interesting as you're kind of getting seated. So Bob, as you're coming in, my challenge was to move forward. So make sure you sit up front. So last year I was sitting there throughout the summit, and I was so humbled and honored to be there. I was really excited, and so what ended up happening was everybody started saying the things that I'd written down that I was going to say, and I just sat there, and I have colorful language, right? So as Dr. Rumsey said, but I was like, dang it, that's the thing I was going to say. And so it happened again, and then they strategically put me towards the end again. Thank you. So what I'm going to talk about is kind of an initiative that we've been doing with OHIL and OAM, and it was a really important initiative that Ann and Caitlin so graciously allowed me to travel and be away from my family for a very extended period of time. So we've been traveling around to the VSO organizations, to their conventions. We have a couple of them in here, and they were phenomenal hosts. And so we've been traveling around to that. We've been demoing. We've been doing the VXR events that I'll talk a little bit about. But really and truly what we're doing is we're trying to engage the veterans. So we're trying to create that conversation that I spoke about when we had the panel, is that veteran-to-veteran communication. And we know that reaching out to the veterans is really important. As a veteran, when you come to me and you show me something cool and flashy like VR, it's going to be novel and it's going to gauge my interest. And so that ability to change my perception of care is really important. And so we first saw it in the SVA NatCon in January. It's actually, I think, how I got the job, is randomly put somebody very important into VR, and then they emailed, and I panicked and sent it to Ann on how is it going to respond. And so I've been using virtual reality for almost 4 years in clinical practice. And I don't know, is Noah in here? Maybe he isn't, but Noah said something yesterday that really struck with me, and I really want to kind of highlight this side of things. So with Grace, with Walter, with everybody in here, it's kind of a full circle moment every time we do this, that I was also that individual that played video games. I played very extensively, so he said 10,000 hours. I'm going to tell you the days before I quit that video game, but it was 525 gameplay days. So I might be ahead of him on there. But it was really important for me. It taught me a tremendous amount of things. It taught me how to socialize. It taught me how to seek help. It taught me how to problem solve. It taught me a great many things that when I didn't connect with the culture and society that I was engaged in, I had this outlet, this platform to really teach me a lot of things, teach me unhealthy things like playing video games for 12 hours. But now I'm the therapist, and so now I get to see some of those beneficial sides and really look at that intentionally. And so for me, I'm sitting here and it's just surreal. It's always surreal to be speaking and sharing this because I was the kid that was told you never do anything with video games. I didn't graduate high school, fun fact for you. I didn't connect with high school. I didn't connect with that style of learning. And so video games was my outlet to learn. I learned economics, I learned teamwork, I learned problem solving, I learned math, I learned how to type, I learned all of these skills actually through video games. I learned perseverance. And so that ability to connect and that outlet to connect really helped kind of push me forward. Went to college and then ended up joining the Marine Corps. I went into the infantry, which gave me the skills then to transform that and really be very motivated. And so I tell people a lot of the times that I'm not really working here for money. I came here to make a difference and be here for veterans. And so it's really honorable to be here in front of all of you that are doing the same work. And so I'll get to my slides here, but I want to give you a little bit of an intro that maybe it's a story you don't know about, but there's a lot of these stories out there. And so it's really important for us to engage the veterans and hear about those. So one of the key factors, right? We've got to be visible. We have to be visible to the veterans. And if we're not visible to the veterans in what we're doing, that's where we start hearing all of these things of, oh, I didn't know VA was doing this. And a great challenge to the prosthetics team and to us to engage other departments. We've got to do that visibility as the organizations, as the providers, as the vendors. We've got to be talking about what we're doing. And we've got to be working together. So I brought this up. It was actually at the Vision 10 Innovation Summit, and the Dayton Medical Center director asked a question. Are we collaborating or are we competing? And I would gather to say most of the time we're competing. But this is hopefully to remind us why we're actually here. We're here for that veteran. We shouldn't be competing. We should be collaborating across the board. And so we have this responsibility as VA to share the good things and what we're doing. And so we've been going around it, and I do want to showcase this. This is not a brag, but what I tried to do is showcase what we can do in VR in different ways. And so this is actually a painting in virtual reality, and it's done by a veteran because I am a veteran. But I wanted to showcase that because we have the Creative Arts Festival. We have these things that we're already doing, and I don't know if they're in here because I can't really see, but the Golden Age Games and the Wheelchair Games are now part of this initiative. And there are ways to use this technology to allow individuals in their rehab process to be introduced to this very quickly. So there he is, both of them. And so I'm going to tell a story from that. And you saw the video from David McAdon bringing this to the Golden Age Games and how impactful that was for that individual. And we sat there and we're like, we got to get a video of this because this is powerful. So, and these photos, these are actually from the convention. These are photos that I took of the individuals. So you're going to be seeing nothing but smiles because I'm pretty good at putting people in VR. I love this. And so it's very important to have that intentionality, but it's really amazing to see these faces. And if, you know, we can talk data, we can talk about all of these things, but you have to see the people interact with it. You've got to see what it does. And so that's what we're doing. And so hopefully this works. Okay. So there's a huge collage. You can look at all of these, and we joke this is my coach stance. So if you ever see me facilitating, I turn my hat back and get my hands on my knees. So, but this was really important. And so what we started seeing through this was, one, we've seen almost, I would say, over 1,000 interactions at the VSO conventions that we've been to in the last month. And I would say about 30 to 40% of those people have been put through VR. That's a lot of people. I'm kind of tired. But it was invigorating to see their faces, to get them in there, and to hear the feedback. And so we started hearing very organically people coming to us and sharing their experience, not from me putting them in VR, but that they're there. They're doing it. Veterans are already in this space, and that's what we're hearing. And so we also should be in that space too. Meaning that if they're organically in this space using it for their health, then we need to be present, whether as a resource or talking to them about it and teaching them that intentional use, right? So not the 525 hours of gameplay, but how do we use that intentionally to help us in that health journey? Whether that to be to de-stress for 10 minutes, or whether that to be learning a new school or prepping for archery at the wheelchair games or the Golden Age games. Can I use this technology to do that? And some do. And that's what's really interesting, and that's what we're starting to hear. So we got invited, and we were very grateful to be part of these. And so we went to these events, and all of a sudden you're getting VSO people, because they're also part of this. And they're starting to ask, well, how do we become a part of this? You met Jeff on the panel. When I met Jeff and I put him in VR and he goes, how do we become a part of this? How do we do this? Now we're starting the community build. Those individuals are starting to see, oh, hey, this is really interesting. How do we support this? How do we create that community? And you'll hear me say this a lot, and I'm very blunt in a lot of things. Forgive me for that sometimes. But we've got to create a community for these veterans, for veterans like myself, for veterans like Kevin, for veterans like Grace, that can have the conversation. And with this technology, we create that reach to be able to start doing that. And we're leading that, which is really fun for me to say. We're leading a lot of this stuff. And for veterans to hear that, it's really impactful. It's really impactful for me to say, hey, you know what? We're actually leading the use of this. We're really doing this. And then, an old disgruntled veteran that, tells me about how he's going to, come in and be really angry with people, and I put him in VR, and he says, oh, this is really cool. I didn't know this was a thing. What's going on? And then I get to tell him, well, here's what your site's doing. Here's what's going on at your site. Here's your point of contact if they're a VSO, or here's the department. Here's how you start getting involved in that. And now I've created an advocate. And then that person has already been in it, and he gets to, and somebody just said this, right? He gets to share how his experience was. Or the other veteran gets to watch that individual dance with like the cutest robot you've ever seen and look like an idiot doing it, but laugh and see that person laughing and engaging and smiling. And that's a really powerful experience. And so we started to see some of that at the Golden Age Games, and we thought, okay, this is really important. So we had a conversation. Then we got invited to the wheelchair games, and we saw the same thing. And this lady in the green here, we actually did a video. We couldn't get it in time, and I'm really bummed because that was probably one of the best testimonials I've ever had. And she was smiling and cheering, and everybody was looking around at how excited she was. And her testimony, when we can get it out there, is so powerful. But it's not the most powerful that came from that event. Then we started doing the VXRs. I'm definitely going over on time here. So the VXRs were really important, right? We heard that from the initial summit, from veterans, well, why aren't we doing this for us? Well, yeah, you're right. Why aren't we? So we started. So Kim and Orlando held the first one, and it was a huge success. They got phenomenal testimonials from folks. And then Donna Lee, who's in here as well, held the next one, and it was fantastic. What we also brought into that, and what you may not know, is that staff, community members, and all of those individuals are also invited to be part of that. Again, creating that community. And what we did interestingly on this one was we actually provided some time for hands-on training. And that we found was really impactful because it provided an opportunity to veterans to have a better experience, but then for the staff to feel more confident in delivering that experience and feel more confident in moving forward. And so those two, both Kim and Donna Lee, have done phenomenal work for their facilities. And so we're very grateful for that. But we started, so we did take some data, right? And so in those two events alone, there were 65 participants. veterans. And so we saw that about 63% had never used it. And that's actually really exciting for me because that means that they're doing it at that facility. That means that veterans do know about that. We saw an average change, or an average rating of 8.0 across the two events, 10 being life-changing about their experience. 94% thought it was easy to use. Very common thing that people say. Well, it's technology, I don't know how to use it. You know, sometimes I struggle actually with the Whova app. And so Mary and Hanine have helped me with that and all that. But so there are some barriers, but it's organic. And so we start to see that it actually ends up being pretty easy to use, the way that these devices just naturally teach people. And then over 90% have said they want this. And so you heard me on the panel, like, veterans are saying they want this. It's time we start listening. They're saying they want this. So what are we doing to listen to that voice? Because that's what's important. That's why we're here. So we were at the DAV National Convention, was one of the most recent ones, and I want to share a story because a gentleman came up to us. And this is what the organic conversation that I'm talking about. The gentleman came up to us and said, you know what, this is really cool that you guys are doing this. I had, his son he was talking about, and he said that he was hit in a car accident, and he was standstill. The car was going about 60 miles an hour, so tremendous amount of polytrauma going on. Again, right? So this individual said that VR, he was using Beat Saber, actually. Beat Saber helped him where no other therapy could, where nothing else helped him. And he got into VR, and within a month, he started to see benefits. It allowed him to focus better. It allowed him to deal with his balance a little bit better. It was retraining the way that his brain was perceiving those symptoms. And he was able to rehab himself through that device. Now imagine if there was a provider involved in that process. And we are doing that. But that came from external. It didn't come from internal. And my favorite one was a gentleman. We were at the Wheelchair Games, and so this is a huge shout out to Texas in their VR use. And the gentleman came up to me, and I was talking to other veterans, and he shared, "Thank you for being here." And yeah, of course, it was really fun. And then instantly validated everything by this statement. And he said, "I was introduced to virtual reality after my injury, and it saved my life." So VR and the Texas VA, with their VR use, has somebody that's saying organically, that came to me, I didn't ask for this quote, and said, "This saved my life." I don't really need a lot of data points after that. This is why I'm here. This is why we're here. So you all are part of this. This is the feedback because we are pushing for this. This is feedback because you are part of this process. These are the things that we're hearing, that we're saying. I'm actually flying out today to go to another convention. I won't be home till the end of the month. But this is something obviously very passionate to me. But I hope that this kind of short presentation, I might make time, is going to show you that there is a larger impact than we may realize from a simple interaction. So I might have said this the last time. There's a quote that I really like, and it's, "You may be the hope that somebody finds today." And that is a really powerful approach when you use virtual reality. You don't know what it's going to touch in that individual. You don't know what it's going to do. And if we can do this with one person, we can do it with a lot of people. So my time's up. That's cool. It yells at me. So my time's up. I'm going to end there because you are the ones doing this, and I really want to share this. It is such an honor to work in this place that I never thought I would be in this position to be thanking you all for serving veterans in the way that you do. and to be able to share the impact that you do and to be able to provide a platform for veterans in their care as well. And we are changing the way that veterans view healthcare by this technology. And this is proof. So thank you for what you do for VA. Thank you for what you do for veterans. Thank you for being here and being online. And I hope that you continue that push, and I hope we can truly make a huge difference with VA. This is a full circle moment for me. This is life-changing for me. So thank you.
I can't look at him for too long or I'll start crying. So I echo Evan's gratitude and also want to just make sure, I know we've said a lot of names over the past few days, but as much as you've seen us and heard from us, it's not just about us. We do this together with you all. So I want to openly and adamantly thank this team, what Caitlin's doing, what Evan's doing, what we get to do with you all. It's not small. We love it, we enjoy it, and we hope and look forward to what we get to do going forward. Also want to ask Kim Balicki to join us up here on the stage. We had... Clearly, they know you too, Kim, so that's great. We had the honor to have Kim join us on detail for several months as well. And so she has returned to her full-time position as an innovation specialist, but sneakily still supports us in a million ways, including kicking this event off. So thank you, Kim. We include you when we talk about the team. Also want to say thank you to our exhibitors. You guys have tirelessly put heads in headsets over the past 2.5 days. And I know I could stand here for the rest of the week and into the weekend and thank each of you individually for your contributions. So to the audience, both here and virtually, thank you for engaging with us so deeply over the last 2.5 days. We are very grateful. I did have something that I wanted to present all of them. UPS has it somewhere. I have no idea where it is in this precise moment, but I'll get that to you. Okay. I know where you all live. So again, thank you. Please, the exhibitors will be open for a little bit longer. Don't hesitate to have more conversations, more heads and headsets, and we look forward to seeing you again next year for the Immersive Summit. Thank you.